Hey YouTube, so I'm here in the shop with my new 2024 F-150, and before I get rid of my old truck, which is a 2004, I thought it would be cool to just see both trucks side by side and do a little compare and contrast of kind of what the difference is after 20 years. I want to talk a little bit about the specifications and kind of the features of each truck. If anyone else is driving an old truck and you're kind of wondering what's changed after 20 years, maybe this can help you out. So first thing in terms of size, you can kind of see this when they're side by side. The new truck feels a lot bigger when you're driving it, but they're really essentially the same length. Both trucks are extended cab with a 6.5-foot bed. They really sit around the same ride height, kind of the same roof height. And then the new truck definitely feels wider. I haven't measured, but they kind of look like a similar width on the outside. And I think they've just done a better job with the interior space, making you feel like you have more room on the inside of the new truck. And if we go out back here, the old truck, it actually has a little bit of an add-a-leaf in the back. So the rear ride height on the old truck is a little higher, just slightly higher. I think if it was stock for stock, they'd really be sitting around the same height right now. So both of these trucks are base models essentially. The old one is an FX4 package. This newer one is an STX package, and that's really just an XL truck with an appearance package. I did end up getting the STX with the black package. So you've got a blacked out Ford logo there, and you get the black 20-inch wheels. On the old truck, this truck came with 18-inch wheels. I guess just to kind of talk this old truck up a little bit, I really think in 2004 when these came out, they were ahead of their time. These trucks came with coilovers in the front when everybody else was still using torsion bars. It's also got rack and pinion steering, which really changes the steering feel a lot over an older truck that used like a pitman arm and an idler arm with a steering box. Overall, I've really enjoyed owning this truck. The 5.4 liter 3-valve was new in 2004 when this truck came out. They went from a 2-valve to a 3-valve, and it makes something like 300 horsepower, which back then was pretty good. And this truck has a 373 posi rear, so with that engine and that rear end combination, this truck gets up and goes pretty well. One of the things that I haven't liked about this truck though, and trucks of this era, is the best gas mileage I've ever gotten was 15 miles a gallon. And I usually got more like 13 or 14 miles a gallon. So in contrast, the new truck has a 2.7 liter engine, half the size engine as the old truck, but it's twin turbo, makes similar power. I think it makes around 300 horsepower. Don't quote me on that. Probably a little bit more. It does have a 373 rear end. I got the electronic locking rear too. They don't offer a limited slip in this truck. But this truck is consistently getting 22 to 23 miles per gallon, which that alone just blows my mind and makes it kind of worth the investment for me. The cool thing about these turbo trucks too is the torque comes in at a really low RPM, what you'll find. So my personal preference is the 2.7 or the 3.5 twin turbo trucks. I know a lot of people like the 5 liters, but in my opinion, you get more low end torque out of the turbo engines. The other thing that helps this truck with gas mileage is it does have a 10-speed transmission in it versus the old truck has your 4-speed. It was a 4R75 transmission. In terms of driving with both of those transmissions, I do love the old 4-speed transmission, just the way it shifts, the way it feels driving. The 10-speed takes a little getting used to. The other thing I'll mention before we go inside, there are versions of the new F-150 that can tow a lot, like 12, 13,000 pounds. This is not one of them. With the 2.7, you only get the 8.8 rear axle, and so this thing only tows, I think it's somewhere around 7,000 pounds, which is fine for me, not a big deal. But the old truck, that has the larger Sterling rear axle, and this truck tows actually 8,800 pounds. So again, back then that was a lot. In terms of towing though, it is nice on the new truck. I'll show you on the inside. It does have an integrated trailer brake controller. The old truck has one too. It just happened to be an aftermarket thing that somebody added on. Okay, so let's go inside the truck real quick just to baseline this so that we can compare it to the new one. This is a B-pillarless design. The back door only opens that far and stops there. So just note that because it's different on the new truck. And then if we hop in here, you know, we've got power windows, power locks. That's nice. The truck had a key fob. It's got automatic headlamps. It's got a four-wheel drive switch instead of having the stick on the floor like a lot of the older trucks did. It does have cruise control, but you don't have any like volume control or anything like that on this steering wheel. It's got a really nice cluster. It does have a digital odometer in the cluster, and it's just a CD player because it's a 2004. But I used to really like this, the way that this dash is laid out and the controls. It still feels pretty modern to me. And then you've got your tray up here, and then you've got some storage up here as well. So let's go over to the new truck and see how that compares. So I'm going to take you on the passenger side first, just so I can show you this back door and the fact that it actually opens all the way back. And that makes it so much nicer when you're like grocery shopping and trying to load this truck and there's a car parked next to you. So that's super cool. Another thing that I'll point out initially is that the cloth interior being a darker color, it's black in here, and the carpet being black and all that, that's so much nicer, so much easier to clean and keep clean. And this material is just really like above and beyond compared to the old truck. They've really come a long way in terms of the material. So let's go over to the other side. Okay, so let's hop inside here and start with all the similarities. Power windows, power locks, power mirrors. The old truck had all that. Here's your automatic headlamp control. Here are your cruise control buttons on the steering wheel. And here's your column shifter, which is great. I love that about the old truck. I'm not really a fan of the console shifter. So you got a nice column shifter here. You can go through the gears on this up and down. Also, you have a keyed ignition. This is the key fob, so the key is integrated into the key fob, but nice simple keyed ignition there. The other thing is we've got our four-wheel drive switches here. If you press the middle here, it locks the differential in the rear, so that's an option only on some trucks. And there's my integrated brake controller right there. And then over here, in terms of climate, same system essentially that's on the old truck, as far as it's just a manual single zone climate control system. There's no automatic temperature control, and there's no dual zone or anything like that, just a really simple system. So I'm gonna fire this thing up and show you some of the differences now. Probably the first thing to talk about is this 10-inch screen right here. Normally this would immediately connect to my phone. I just disconnected it because I'm filming from my phone right now. But this screen is great. It's got CarPlay. I use an iPhone. CarPlay works really well with it, and everything I need to do, I essentially do all my music and navigation and anything like that right from CarPlay. That's been really nice. You'll notice up here, it's kind of cool. You can turn your backup camera on anytime you want to. I really like that feature. Also, just the fact that you have a backup camera. And then you've got an auto start stop disable button right here. This truck does shut the engine off at times when you come to a stop when the conditions are met. Which actually, I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's a feature I really like because I am all about the gas mileage. So the other things you have going on, you do have a lane keeping system here that you can turn on and off on the steering wheel. You got your volume control. You can initiate phone calls from the steering wheel, or just use voice commands from the steering wheel for navigation and things like that. And then you've got a bunch of buttons here to control the menu. Ton of menu options in the cluster. You can see I keep it on the fuel economy menu, and I'm usually getting closer to 23. I've just been idling the truck a little bit today. So super cool kind of cluster, and a ton of things you can do in there. And then come down here. This truck does have an electronic parking brake as opposed to the old manual style. And then the last thing I'll just show here in terms of differences, that at least from what I feel is important, is you have this whole suite of driver assistance features that you don't have on the old truck. I'm not sure how many of these are like standard government, like mandated or legislated type things, and how many of these are just kind of here because the truck is equipped with those options. But what I will say, pre-collision assist is great. The truck will kind of warn you, hit the brakes for you. That can be a lifesaver. I love having the blind spot information system. It lights up the side mirrors when someone's next to you. Rear park aid sensors, not really my jam personally, but the rear cross traffic alert is nice, letting you know that cars are coming while you're trying to pull out. And then the reverse brake assist, again, not really my thing, but I've got it, it's there, I've got it on, and all in all, just really nice safety features to have that the old truck doesn't have. So actually, just a few more things as I get out of the truck here. You've got a couple USB-Cs right there. You do have your kind of cigarette lighter right there, and then you've got a standard USB and then another USB-C down here. Interestingly enough, this truck is not equipped with like a 110 outlet or anything like that. And then the last thing, the similarity that I forgot to point out is the seats are totally manual in this truck. So no power seats or anything like that. Just kind of another like base model feature of this truck. So that's pretty much it for the compare and contrast on these trucks. I will just share, like, for me personally, the gas mileage was a huge deciding factor to go ahead and get this 2024. And then there's the fact that like the truck just looks awesome. I love the new grille. When the truck is running down the road in drive, it actually lights up those kind of ambers on the front. Looks really good like that too. Great driving experience with the truck. Absolutely love driving it. But what's interesting and kind of what I would point out is if you're buying a truck, to do truck stuff, like there's nothing that I can really do in this new truck in terms of towing, hauling, anything like that I can't do with this old truck. So that's gonna be it for this video. I know I actually haven't been on YouTube in a while. There's been a lot of projects going on with the house and in the shop. I just haven't been that good at documenting things recently. Clearly the engine is out of the Civic again, so we need to talk about that. So I hope to hit you all with some more updates if you're somebody that is following along on this channel. If not, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you later.